Hello and welcome to Boise. We're at Extra Mile Arena tonight as the Boise State Broncos host the BYU Cougars on senior night from the City of Trees. And we're looking forward to an exciting meet here tonight between two teams in the Mountain Rim Gymnastics Conference inside Extra Mile Arena. Leonard Berry alongside me, Alex Ismarian, and Hope Maciedo. And for Boise State, it is senior night, but it's also a night where they are looking to improve on what they have done in the past 2 weeks, where they've scored over 196 against Utah State in back-to-back meets, and now with the added excitement of senior night, hoping to improve even more.
Absolutely, and with senior night coming mid-February, it's a little bit earlier, but they have had 2 home meets under their belt, so they should be totally comfortable in this environment. They scored that 196.325 last home meet, and then last week they had that 196.075. So they're looking to find that mid 196. That's what they're really shooting for. They want to put out their best gymnastics, especially on senior night.
And the Broncos will be honoring 5 seniors tonight, Adriana Pop and Aaron Elka Bocci, 2 of the main performers for Boise State throughout this season, who have really helped the Broncos along as they transition from what was an older team last year to a younger team this year. On the other side for BYU, Hope, we're looking at a team that has plenty of experience, and you look at how well they've been performing as of late. They had 3 conference specialists of the week on 3 different apparatuses a week ago.
Yeah, not only 3 MRGC specialists of the week, but also a lot of career highs, which is definitely a confidence builder for these Cougars going into this week. And I'm excited to see what they're going to produce in Extra Mile tonight against Boise State.
You saw Anna Bramblett with a 9.95 on the bars, Sydney Benson a 9.9 on the vault, and these are scores that BYU is going to look to build upon as they continue to try to rise up in the rankings as regionals quickly approaches here towards the end of the conference gymnastics seasons. It'll be Boise State and it will be BYU when we come back to Extra Mile Arena. A Mountain Rim Gymnastics Conference matchup is in the works when we come back to the City of Trees. It's almost time to begin the meet here in Boise. Leonard Berry, Alex Ismarian, Hope Maciedo with you as Boise State gets set to take on BYU here on senior night for Boise State. They won back-to-back meets against Utah State. They posted their top 2 scores of the season against Utah State. They're a team that's steadily improving, a young team that always wants to get better. Right now in the middle of the season, things you're looking for, consistency and improvement, and that's what Boise State's had over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen it here, and then last week they were on the road, so they're just working to build on these scores. Again, you want to see those 9.8s as like their average score. That's what you always gauge it by, plus or minus a tenth, but you're trying to drop those lower scores at this point. They're looking for those stuck landings. They're looking for that good form. College gymnastics is all about perfection, so they're looking to really nail down what they've been practicing in the gym.
And Tina Bird, head coach for Boise State, she was hanging out at Ten Barrel last night on Inside Bronco Basketball, filling in for women's basketball, and she talked about the things that you're going to see tonight starting on the vault. Adriana Pop has been one of the main performers on the vault for the Broncos, and her new vault this season has made a lot of impressions.
Yeah, and she's been working so hard on that, even last season, so it's exciting to see her perform and come out and show it off. And she got that stuck landing last time around in Extra Mile, and we're just excited to see it's senior night, lots of exciting momentum going into this vault transition.
Getting ready to go, Sydney Coe, the freshman, will start things off for Boise State.
And Sydney will kick things off with that Yurchenko full, really cleanly done. Maybe a little bit of a lower vault. You might see the girls get more powerful throughout the lineup, but just a solid start for Sydney. That's what you want to see. You want to see that good form in the air. She might be a little crunched on the table, tiny little hop on the landing. Really solid start to set the tone for the Broncos.
And over to bars we go. BYU will start off with Sophie Dudley, the sophomore from Plano, Texas.
She'll do that transition to the high bar. Pack salto. Ooh, fighting there for that half pirouette. She just couldn't get her hand on there. Right up into a handstand. Big double layout. Chest was forward. She had to take that step, as you saw on that dismount. She overshot that handstand a little bit. Just a little under-rotated.
And it's right back to vault for Boise State. Emma William, the sophomore from Mountain Lakes, New Jersey, getting ready as we wait to get the first scores coming in for Sydney Cohen. To start out with a freshman on senior night, that certainly puts a lot of confidence. Tina Bird showing her confidence in Sydney Coe.
Absolutely. You want a really solid start. You always want the consistency at the beginning, and then it just to build into better scores and really have the gymnasts build off each other. So we are going to see what Emma does here as she starts down the runway. Gets into that same, nope, she does a Yurchenko with a half twist. So she lays out that half twist. It's a blind landing, little bit harder to stick. Barely moved her feet, so really good vault for Emma. And again, another solid vault. You'll see right here, just does a half twist, nice straight arms on the vault, straight legs, little shuffle of the feet. So they'll take a small deduction, but other than that, solid vault for Emma. A lot of energy here. You can see her teammates high-fiving her. You just want to keep the momentum going. You want everything to be energy, and especially on vault, you can use your adrenaline to your advantage, whereas on balance beam, we'll see later, you kind of want to tone it down. But right now, they're coming out of the gate strong.
Next up on the bars for the Cougars, it's Sydney Benson, sophomore from Riverton, Utah, who was the vault specialist of the week a week ago with a 9-9 on the vault, trying to get a good score on bars for BYU.
She'll start off here, up to the high bar. Great handstand there. Big Tkachev. Transitions down, shoot over to the low bar. Great handstand there. Into the dismount, double layout, little step there. But overall, pretty good routine for Sydney. She had good handstands, big release moves. Nice dismount, just that little step there, but great routine.
And Alyssa Voulage.
Powerful vaulter right here. She does that super unique vault, round off full onto the vault, and then that back pike off. I love watching that vault. Alyssa is just a powerful gymnast. You'll see her on a couple other events tonight. See that strong run, back handspring, full twist on, big block off, beautiful form in the air, just that hop back. It's a hard vault to control, so when she gets that stick, she'll get rewarded super highly. That is a 10-0 start value, where the two vaults you saw before, they started from a 9.95, so she gets that little extra half a tenth bonus, so she starts off even higher than those other girls. More potential for a higher score.
A good start on the vault for Boise State, and now an opportunity for BYU on the bars. Anna Bramblett is up next on bars for BYU. She's coming off not only a co-bar specialist of the week with her 9.95, but that was a career high as well.
Yeah, and that's always a big confidence booster going into this week. You know, she also tied with a fellow Bronco MRGC specialist, Emily Lopez. So high expectations here in Extra Mile for some good bar routines.
Like you mentioned, Hope, Lopez and Bramblett both with the 9.95s on bars. BYU really cleaned up in the awards, took vault, bars, and beam a week ago.
She'll start here. Great handstand there into a blind change. Ooh. Kind of peeled off there. Let go early on a release move.
You never want to see that, especially in competition. She hasn't gotten up yet. Looks like she's talking to her coaches, hopefully not injured.
Applause as she gets back up to her feet. Now that's something that you do like to see, getting up under her own power.
So as you see, she just slipped off. I think she was a little bit more concerned about hurting her coach, which is very nice of her. But sometimes you just don't have the right grip. There's something called a dowel on your grip, and if that is not over the bar, it's closer to your fingers, it's really easy to slip off. So I'm wondering if that's what happened. Hopefully she can finish this out strong.
She'll finish that connection, shoot over down to the low bar. Great handstand. Setting up for that dismount. Big double layout. You know, she did have that uncharacteristic fall, but it takes so much out of you to get back up there and finish that routine strong. You never know what scores are going to count or what happens in the lineup. So kudos to Anna for finishing that routine.
That'll set us back over to vault. The senior Adriana Pop.
Adriana does an amazing vault right there. If she just would have held those heels down, I would have given it a true stick, but that was amazing. They're going to take little to no deduction on that entire vault. You'll see in the replay, this is so much harder than that round off because you don't have as much power. You have to use the power just from that punch. She does it so well, and just like her last name, she really pops off that vault. So great job from Adriana, the senior, starting out her night strong on the vault.
Good height on that vault from Pop there, and gets a nice embrace after performing pretty difficult vault. And BYU trying to recover on the bars.
And that's never fun when you have a teammate get up there and fall, let alone do kind of a scary, uncharacteristic fall. So, but gymnasts, they're so resilient. They've got their blinders on. And I think I mentioned last time we were here at a home meet, sometimes those falls, they're a little more common for gymnasts to see. So they don't freak out as much. You just got to stay calm, stay focused on your job, and just do what you do in practice. You got to bring it back together, reset the tone of the team, and then hopefully they're experienced enough throughout the time of the season that they've had thus far to just zone back in and treat it like every day in the gym.
And it's going to be Kylie Equinto who will be following up Bramblett here, freshman from Orem, Utah. And we're just waiting to see some scores come in before she can get ready to do her routine. You see Pop getting a 9.875 for the vault. That's the highest so far for Boise State.
And that's a slight improvement from her 9.85 she got last meet against Utah State. So you're always looking to improve. That was a really amazing vault from Adriana.
See, the judges are still talking about the previous score.
It's tough as a gymnast. I think the hardest part about competing is that you get such a small amount of time to show what you've been working on the whole year. And when you have to wait, it just gets a little more nerve-wracking. So just kudos again to the resilience of these gymnasts.
And at this point in the season, we talked about consistency and wanting to build. This is an opportunity to deal with adversity as well. That's something that also comes up throughout the course of the season. So to see your teammate fall, to watch her get back up and finish her routine, to help out the team, then to follow that up, you want to go out and you just want to have your best performance possible.
Yeah, like Hope said, sometimes those things happen, and when you have the rest of your routine to finish, you want to get up there and make it count, because you never know what's going to happen with the other team. You never know what's going to happen later in the competition, so you don't want to give up any tenths that you don't have to.
And Kylie finally gets the green light to perform her routine. She'll set up here. Great transition to the high bar, back down to the low bar. You'll see a lot of gymnasts do that connection. You know, you're starting from typically a 9.5, excuse me, and that just gives you extra bonus points in your routine. Great landing there for that stick. You can see she's super pumped up, especially coming from Anna's previous routine. Being able to have her teammates back and get that stick for the Cougars.
Great stick there from the freshman. And we go back over to vault for Boise State, Emily Lopez.
And Emily's first event tonight, always so fun to watch. Okay, huge vault. That took my breath away for a second because she just nails not just vault, but every routine, every single time. And gosh, you got to give it to her. She got the stick hammer right there. She's excited. Just watch this vault. Watch her form. It sets her apart. She's got perfect squeeze legs, pointed toes, nice block, and there's no movement. Great job, Emily. That was amazing. So the start value for that is a 9.95. That's the max she can get. So she couldn't get that perfect 10, but she could potentially get a 9.95. So we'll see what the judges think.
Boise State's coming off their best vault score of the year, of 49.4 against Utah State. So to watch them perform the way they have here in the early stages, that's very exciting for Tina Bird and her squad. And BYU still continuing on the bar in rotation number 5. It'll be Lindsay Hunter who comes up next, and she's a senior from Santa Clarita, California. Again, gonna be forced to wait a little bit as the scores get finished out for Kylie Aquinto's routine on the bars.
Yeah, you see she's kind of turning away from the judges, just keeping herself loose. Looks like she's gonna get that green light to go.
She'll set up here into a big Tkachev. Too close to the bar, it seemed like.
Sometimes gymnastics is such a specific sport. There's so much in the details, the angles at which you do things. So you'll see right here, she gets really nice height, but the way she catches the bar, her body's too vertical down. That force that's gonna pull off the bar is most likely going to be too much for her to hold on to the bar. So you want to catch in just a little bit more of an angled position where there's less force pulling you away from the bar.
She's looking like she's setting back up. She'll redo her mount. Great handstand. Release move again. Into a free hip handstand. Shoot over down to the low bar. She'll set up for her dismount. Big double layout. A little bit under rotated again.
And that's unfortunate because she had to start over her routine. So she just nailed a really good set, but unfortunately she'll have to count that fall.
And you'll see in the replay. A little under rotated, had to take that step, but was able to come back after that fall.
And Courtney with that really big 1.5 vault, one of the most challenging vaults you will see in this arena tonight in the NCAA. She nails it, and you'll see on the replay, she's just got really good form. And making that extra half twist, it's a blind landing, so it's even harder to land. You'll see right here, big block off the table, spots the landing, just a little shuffle of the feet. Think she tried to stop it after the first one, but her foot got caught. So a little bit of deduction on the landing, but other than that, amazing vault. Courtney's super consistent. You'll see that throughout tonight.
Courtney Blackson closing it out on vault for Boise State. Broncos increased their score with every single competitor on the vault. Blackson looking to anchor it. Lopez with the 9-9 for Boise State. And for BYU on bars, coming off a week ago when they had their best score of the season on bars, a couple of uncharacteristic mistakes so far tonight. And now at this point, just trying to close it out, walk away with a respectable score here. It's going to be Anissa Alvarado who's going to close it out.
Yeah, and that's just, it's tough to start out with a couple falls, especially on your first event. But again, you never know what's going to happen in the meet. You can't give up, and these girls won't. They're trained not to. They're tough. They're determined, and they're gonna figure it out. But you want to end on a strong routine, and it's unfortunate she's gonna have to wait a little bit for the judges, just because the score discrepancy happens, especially when there's a fall. So she'll go back to the chalk bucket and chalk up a little bit, keep herself loose.
And like Alex mentioned earlier, these gymnasts are so resilient. not only do they have the pressure of doing that routine, but they put so much pressure on themselves sometimes to perform. They only have one chance to do these routines. And, you know, they'll just go back into the gym next week and work so much harder on these routines and hopefully produce the number they want into the next coming meets. I mean, this is only week 6, so they have a couple more meets to get under their belt before that Mountain Rim Championship.
And one of the things that Tina Bird talked about last night was the home meet advantage that you have when you're on your apparatuses that you practice on. You have the fan engagement. Both of you have been on the road plenty in your gymnastics career. How different is it and how much harder is it to perform when you're at a visiting venue?
You know, you try and not talk about it just because it is that there's that mental aspect where it's like, ooh, the beam's a little slippery, or I'm not used to this type of springboard, but you get used to it. But yeah, at home, these are the pieces of equipment they practice on day in, day out. So there is a feel to it. So it is slight advantage, I would say. Not super much, maybe just more mentally. If you're superstitious about that kind of stuff, it's definitely a little bit of an advantage.
Yeah, and definitely at times it's nice to sleep in your own bed when you're at home and just come out to your home crowd. But, you know, going on the road, sometimes competing against other teams, especially within your conference, getting those wins is that much more exciting, and especially with those matchups coming up within the next couple weeks. Big pack salto down to the low bar. Huge Maloney half. Struggle a little bit on that handstand. She'll set up for her dismount here. Good anchor routine for the Cougars. She had those handstands. A little struggle on the last handstand, but was able to pull it out for the Cougs.
And Anissa Alvarado finishes up rotation number 1 here in the Gem State. We'll take a look at the scores and bring them to you when we come back to Boise on the Bronco Digital Network. Welcome back to Boise, rotation number 1. Finishing up at Extra Mile Arena, Leonard Berry, Alex Asmarian, and Hope Maciedo with you, bringing you Mountain Rim Gymnastics. And it's a great start for Boise State, just a 10th under their highest vault score of the season after rotation number 1. A couple of 9.9s, Emily Lopez and Courtney Blackson for the Broncos.
Yeah, great vault from Emily right there. Definitely a highlight, as well as Courtney. They both got 9.9s, both so well deserved. But it's no surprise. You see them do this meet after meet. Really talented gymnasts.
And on the bars for BYU, Kylie Aquinto leading the way.
Yeah, the freshman, you know, she produced a good routine after that unfortunate fall from her teammates. Had some great handstands, as you can see in the replay here. But, you know, the Cougars got to put that event aside and just rally for upcoming events.
BYU finding themselves down a point and a 10th after the first rotation. That's a large hole to try to dig out of as you see the scores for rotation number 1. And when you fall behind like that early, does your mentality shift at all, Alex, when you're going on to the next apparatus when BYU moves to the vault, or is it still just the same ideas that you had going into the meet?
Yeah, I think it's inevitable. There's that drag from that first event. You never want that to be the case, but again, gymnasts practice for this. So the coaches, they got them together. They probably told them that just leave it behind, focus on vault, and do what you guys know how to do, all right? You got to leave stuff in the past. You can't ruminate on what happened. You can't change the past, so all they can do is build on this, and I know they're a strong team on vault, so they're just going to refocus, set the blinders, get back into that energized, good mood. They can really get out all the jitters on this vault rotation, and I'm sure they'll wow us. They'll do a good job.
And for Boise State moving over to bars, so this is an opportunity for them to pad their lead, add to their numbers. When you're looking at going into the bars with a big advantage early, how do you stay calm?
Yeah, the Broncos, you know, bars is their event. You want to see the good handstands, obviously big release moves, and that stick at the end of the dismount. So they have some, obviously, Emily Lopez and Courtney Blackson, big contributors to this bar lineup. So I'm hoping to see some wow routines, especially since it's senior night. They probably have a lot of good momentum going into this rotation, and yeah, just excited to see what they're going to do one last time in extra mile.
Well, we're certainly looking forward to it. Here on senior night, Boise State starts off hot on the vault. They'll be on the bars when we come back. BYU will move to the vault for rotation number 2. That's all coming up next when we come back to Extra Mile Arena on the Bronco Digital Network. Back at the X, Mountain Rim Gymnastics taking place as Boise State hosts BYU on senior night. Rotation number 1 in the books. As we move into rotation number 2, it'll be Boise State on bars. It'll be BYU on the vault. And for the Cougars, they've had 2 straight weeks of scores over 49 on the vault after 4 straight of 48. So again, we talk about that improvement, talk about growing throughout the season. That's exactly what BYU has done on that apparatus.
Exactly, yeah, they're looking to hit that 49. That's kind of the standard right now. You want to at least be at that 49 level. So they're definitely looking to build a bunch off of that first event, and they all look hyped up. I saw the warm-ups looked really, really good. Excited to see what they bring out to the vault.
And the Broncos looking to get back above 49 on the bars in rotation number 2. They've done it just one time against Southern Utah back on January 27th, but we're going to start on the vault, and this is going to be Sophie Dudley, the sophomore from Plano, Texas, who will kick things off.
Last meet, she had a 9.85. She does that Yurchenko full, really big vault, really controlled landing, just a little bit under-rotated, so she hopped forward. But she's super powerful gymnast, and that was a great way to start for the Cougars. You see here, nice block, a little bit chest forward, finished it strong.
So good start on BYU for the vault, and starting on the bars for Boise State, it'll be Talia Little.
Yes, and Talia is very familiar with this starting spot. She also was in the starting spot last season. Maloney back into a pack salto. Great handstand there on that half pirouette. Blindfold right into a double back. Little step there, short and sweet, but great starting routine for the Broncos.
As you'll see here on this dismount, she only does a double tuck, so she has to do that combination blindfold into it. Keeps it clean, just that little step on the landing.
So the junior for Rochester, New York gets things started for the Broncos, and we're back over to the vault. This is Madison Raisley Patton, who is ready, the freshman from Lanata, Texas.
And Madison gears up for her vault. She does one of those round off, full on back tuck off. So kind of similar to we saw what Alyssa did from Boise State. She did a really nice job bringing that vault to her feet. Maybe a little bit crunched on the vault, as you'll see here. She does that round off, and then just a little bit of bent elbows on the vault, but really good work, and finished it out strong. Not much movement from her feet on that landing.
2 good vaults for BYU, a nice way for them to start out rotation number 2. And one of the seniors that Boise State is honoring tonight, getting ready on the bars, it's Erin Morden. She's a senior from La Quinta, California, and the energy on senior night always a little bit higher. Hope you went through this not that long ago. You know exactly what it's like to compete on senior night.
Yeah, it's always so fun, you know, bittersweet because it's only week 6. It's early in the season, but always a fun time to compete in front of that home crowd. And Erin, she's kind of been breaking through in this bar lineup. Second appearance here, second up, and I know she's ready. She's just trying to keep herself calm, doesn't want to get overexcited.
She scored a 9.775 last weekend on her debut debut routine for bar. She's been exhibitioning a lot, and that is so important. That exhibition spot, never count them out, because as you see here, she's proved herself and she's making it into the lineup, and that's really special, especially on senior night.
You can see her coach, Yvonne Lexov, giving her some last-minute corrections before she approaches the bars. Just waiting to get ready.
And Morden, a walk-on for Boise State, competed just one time in her first 3 seasons with the Broncos, but breaking into the lineup, as you said, here in her senior year, and it's awesome. We talk about growth throughout the season, but how about growth throughout a career through the 4 years to get better and better every single week, every month, every year, and then finally have it all culminate to be going second on the bars for Boise State on senior night. There's no better feeling.
Absolutely, and I think there's a little bit of a misconception of when you get to college just to maintain your skills and coast through, but from speaking from experience at Boise State, the coaches they want girls that want to continue to learn. They want gymnasts with potential that have a drive to learn new things. I learned so many new skills when I came to Boise State, when I came to college, and it really helped me throughout my career. So it's not all about coming in and competing right off the bat. It's about learning the culture, really buying into the program, and Erin has totally done that this year. So she should be super proud of herself. I know her teammates are cheering her on. It's just hard to wait here. I know she's itching to get going, and here she goes.
And here she goes. She'll set up right into the high bar. Great handstand there into a blind change. To that piked Jaeger. Really good form on that. Great handstand on her shoot over. She'll set up here for her dismount to a full in, little bit under rotated. Great routine for Erin, except for that dismount, just a little under rotated. As you saw, she took that step. But she had great form, good handstands, good release. So just see, yeah, she shot it out a little bit too early.
We transition straight over into the vaults, the specialist of the week, Sydney Benson.
And she does that Yurchenko fall. As you can see, she definitely earned that specialist of the week with her good form, height and distance from the table, and then nearly a stick. I couldn't really see where her feet landed if they moved at all, but you'll be able to see right here. Good block off the table. Just maybe a little hop forward, nothing too crazy. She gets a lot of distance off the table, which is one of the things the judges are looking for. So awesome work from Sydney right there.
Well, after a 9-9 on the vault last week, Sydney Benson certainly looking to replicate that with the vault right there. Really quality stuff from BYU. I mean, this is exactly what BYU hoped for, to pick things up in rotation number 2 after having a little bit of difficulty on the bars, respond right away on the vault, and now Boise State has to try to answer with Elena McGovern, the sophomore from Richmond, Kentucky.
Yeah, and this is Elena's first year in the bar lineup. She gets ready to go, taking a big deep breath, collecting herself. As she'll set up here to a free hip. She'll do a big connection here. Ginger right down to the low bar. Like I mentioned earlier, getting those connections for that start value. Into a full out dismount. Little hop there for Elena, but great routine for the Broncos. She does a good job staying in that tuck position. Just that little tiny hop.
Elise Rollins on the vault.
And she does that similar vault that we saw a couple girls ago, that full-on tuck off. Little shuffle of the feet, but great vault. You're seeing that vault become more common since it is a 10-0 start value. She does that round off, that full twist on. Maybe slight bend of the knees a little earlier than you'd like to see before she blocked off the table. Good vault from Elise right there.
So Elise finishes up the vault for BYU, rotation number 2, and goes right back to the bars for Boise State with Kylie Hamby. And it'll be a freshman for Boise State. What is really a young team, graduated quite a lot of seniors last year. They're going to graduate 5 this year, but lots of building blocks for the Broncos, and still plenty of weeks left for the freshmen and sophomores and even the juniors to get more experience. You look, they'll be at Southern Utah on Wednesday, then at Minnesota, at Alabama before Mountain Rim conference comes around. So for Boise State, top-tier competition coming up in the next couple of weeks. All teams that are in the top 21 in the nation. And these are great opportunities for the Broncos to finish out at home and move on strong.
She'll start off here with a big ray right down to the low bar. That shoot over. And those connections make the routine a little bit shorter. Big double layout dismount. You can see that smile on her face.
Lots of difficulty in that routine. Good to see from a freshman.
Just that little hop there. Something she can go back into the gym and perfect for sure.
Back over to the vault for Alex Mason.
And she does that 1.5. Unfortunately, she was a little bit high on the vault. And when you're doing such a challenging vault, if you don't get that normal big block off the table, it's really hard to make it onto your feet. So you'll see right here, she's a little high, didn't get that big, powerful block. Unfortunately, had to sit that one down. Tell she's not super happy about that.
For Boise State, back on the bars, it'll be Courtney Blackson coming up. Blackson and Lopez to close things out. And talk about closers, that's what those two have been this season for the Broncos. Whenever they've needed big scores, they've turned to those two. It doesn't matter what apparatus it seems, they have been providing. And now opportunity to move further ahead. Blackson going to go up on the bars for Boise State.
Yeah, no doubt. They just both keep showing up time and time again, just doing what they know how to do best. And I'm excited to see what Courtney's going to do tonight. She had a big score last week, a 9-9, which is almost normal for her at this point in the lineup.
And you'll just see Courtney's a little bit more aggressive than some of the other gymnasts. You'll see in her high-flying releases right here.
Great handstand. Down to the low bar. Almost held it there for a second. She'll prep here for her release move. Called a Corkina. Gets the crowd growing every time. Ended it with a stick. Just same old Courtney doing what she does.
Yeah, she does it every single time. I mean, one of these days the judges got to give it to her. She's so aggressive with those handstands. You don't have to be that aggressive, but she just goes for it, all right? She has nothing to lose right here, and that's the sign of not only a great gymnast, but a confident one. She knows what she's doing.
That exclamation point right there for the stick.
Back on the vault with Kylie Quinto.
Also, thought she was doing the 1.5. She did a full. Looked really nice and clean. So a great job right there from Kylie to finish things strong. And remember, in gymnastics, 5 out of the 6 scores count, so they can drop that fall. And they got a pretty decent score going on vault. Just that little scoop back, but other than that, great form, good height and distance from the table.
Great second rotation for BYU on the vault. And for Boise State, mentioned that Blackson and Lopez are the closers. Well, now it is Emily Lopez's turn, the junior from Mission Viejo, California. And for Blackson, waiting to get her score still, as Emily Lopez, who had a 9.95 last week, will try and close things out with an exclamation point.
Yes, and she's notched that title not once, but 3 times. Great pike Jaeger right there. And Emily just has beautiful lines. You see that in her bar routine. Beautiful toe point. Big double layout, right for the stick.
Yeah, her teammates should be hyped up for that one. That was even built off of that amazing routine Courtney did. Emily just nailed it with that cherry on top, stick at the end. You'll see right here what Hope was talking about, that beautiful form she exhibits every single time on her events.
Lopez has been the specialist of the week on the bars in the Mountain Room 3 times Is this routine good enough for a fourth? We'll see the score when we come back. Rotation number 3 when we return. Back at Extra Mile Arena, mentioned that Emily Lopez was the closer for the Broncos, and tonight she's a history maker as she becomes the first ever Boise State Bronco in program history to record a perfect 10 on the bars. It was a sublime routine, Hope, and she capped it off with a beautiful stick.
I'm starstruck. She's a superstar. No, she just had it all, and she always does every single week. The beautiful lines, the toe point, and to cap it off, that stick right there. And it's so amazing to see that she finally gets the score she deserved.
That's amazing. I mean, there's something about Emily's on bars for this Bronco program. And honestly, we didn't even act super excited because that's what she does every single week. So I just think we never thought the judges would finally give it to her. But it is so, so well deserved. Hats off to Emily Lopez. Such an amazing career milestone. She's going to remember this night forever. It goes down in Bronco history. I'm just happy I was here to witness it.
And you mentioned Emily's on bars. Emily Mullenhop, she was chasing it for so long. She was so close for what seemed like years with amazing routines. And then to watch Emily Lopez pull out that routine, a perfect 10. And again, the first 10 in program history. That is a milestone for Boise State. It is history for Emily Lopez, and it is cementing a great senior night for the Broncos. We mentioned the emotions, mentioned the excitement. When you stick a perfect 10 for the first time in program history on senior night, that is the greatest feeling in the world.
I remember I was on the team when Sierra stuck her vault at Utah State, and she got a 10 on vault. So it's been done before, but never on bars, and it's just such a special feeling. I think that that's like the epitome of you've made it as a gymnast. I mean, there's so many other great memories to be made, but when you get a 10-0, that is just something so special. It should not be thrown around. It is something that it's literally perfection. You produce perfection, and you got rewarded for it. So I have chills right now. Amazing, amazing job by Emily.
A fantastic job there by Emily Lopez. And now Boise State will move on to what is their best event this season, their best apparatus, as Boise State moves to the beam and BYU moves to the floor. We'll have rotation number 3 coming your way when we come back to Extra Mile Arena. The Broncos showing out and showing up with perfection on senior night here on the Bronco Digital Network. For 3 at Extra Mile Arena, Leonard Berry, Hope Maciedo, and Alex Asmarian with you. And not only is it senior night, but it's a very special happy birthday to a member of our crew. It's Pete Clark's birthday here at Extra Mile Arena. And
go Pete!
I hope you certainly know Pete Clark very well.
Yeah, he's my professor. Love that guy.
He was our SID when I was on the team, and just a great guy all around.
So happy birthday to Pete Clark, helping us out here, getting fantastic shots of senior night here at Boise State and Extra Mile Arena as we begin the 3rd rotation on beam. And Alyssa Village is going to start out on the beam for Boise State. This is their best event, 15th nationally.
Yeah, last week they had an uncharacteristic 48.95, so they're really hoping to just continue this streak of awesome scores throughout the night, and Alyssa's a great start off. I could tell she was maybe a little bit off on that series, but that's just how confident and calm she is. She kept it on the beam. Big switch leap into that gainer back handspring. Again, maybe just a little bit off on this routine, but she is fighting for every single 10th. So she's barely even showing the judges that she is off, keeping the wobbles to a minimum. She moves through this beam routine really quickly, aggressively, nice and sharp with her movements. Sets up for that front toss. A little bit bigger of a wobble right there, had to pick her foot up. Different requirements in gymnastics for every single apparatus, so you gotta do a forward or sideways move on the balance beam. So she nails that requirement right there, gets ready for her dismount, round off 1.5, and I would call that the college stick, where she's kind of falling out of it, steps to the judges. You know, you want to cover up every single 10th you can. So good finish by Alyssa right there. We'll see that dismount one more time. Maybe just leaning a little bit forward, but I like the way she covers. She makes everything look really nice and clean.
And Eliza Millar is on the floor. BYU known for some fun floor routines, and it's Millar who gets them started tonight.
BYU had a high score last week, 49-35. Great leap pass there. She's smiling, having fun with it. Setting up for her pass here. Big double back.
BYU is always known for how they kind of play up to the crowd. Super fun routines right here.
She goes into her next pass here. Big front layout to front full. Great routine and a good start for the Cougars.
Yeah, I would say BYU is pretty strong on floor. They got that 49.35 under their belt, so that's a really strong score and almost goes out of bounds right there, but you see her her awareness is so good on that tumbling pass.
Back over to the beam for Boise State, it's Talia Little.
And Talia right here has a little bit of different style than we saw by Alyssa. She moves a little bit slower, a little bit more graceful. Hangs on to that series. That will unfortunately be a sizable deduction, but she stayed on the beam. Full turn, straight into some dance. Heads into her leap pass, switch leap into that straddle quarter. Nice extension. The judges are looking in those leaps for that 180-degree split, so she definitely met that requirement. Heads into that front aerial, into that immediate beach up, really nice. You can tell Talia is really classically trained gymnast. She's got that amazing flexibility she shows off right there, holding that. And that's for just a little extra pizzazz to show those judges how talented she is. Takes that deep breath, sets up into her dismount. She's got that round off 1.5. Ooh, perfectly stuck dismount. And that's always a good taste in the judge's mouth when you leave them with that nice stuck dismount. That's a really good way to end off your routine. We'll see that dismount one more time. She has her mats a little bit higher up. That's total personal preference, and nails that landing.
BYU getting set to go back on the floor. They've really slayed the floor event this year, and Sydney Benson is going second.
They all have like really recognizable songs, gets the crowd involved. Their teammates are dancing on the side, super fun.
She'll set up for her first pass here. Nice double back. Controlled that landing. Sydney had a 9.85 last week against Southern Utah. She'll set up for her second pass. Front layout to front full.
These floor routines, they're a lot about the tumbling, a lot about the leaps and the requirements, but college gymnastics is just so much more fun and lighthearted than club gymnastics or elite gymnastics. So the judges are looking for you to kind of give that eye contact, It helps out, I'm telling you.
Last pass here. Double pike, great landing.
Really good routine from her.
For BYU.
And now the gymnasts, when they end with a double flipping pass, such as that double pike, it's really challenging. So the code of points has changed, and they're rewarding them. So they give them an extra 10th of bonus if you do end in like a double back or a double pike. So awesome difficulty.
One of Boise State seniors mounting the bar, Erin Elkabachi.
All right, Erin is a really precise gymnast. Nice right there, super clean layout, step out. You'll see that series done really common in college gymnastics. So how you set yourself apart is that good form, that perfect landing. Another nice clean little pass right there, beat jump into that side aerial. Dances into some more jumps. Straddle half, tuck jump. Again, just getting all those little requirements. When you connect different moves, depending on the level of skill, they're gonna get you a certain amount of bonus points to add up so you can get to that 10-0 start value. And heads into her dismount, short and sweet, good punch. Just that little hop forward, but really nice from Erin. Fun to see her back this year after that injury last year, doing really well, contributing on this event. Nice dismount right there.
That was Erin Elkabachi on the beam, not on the bar, as I previously said. And we go back to the floor for BYU and Sophie Dudley.
So set up here, first pass. Big double pike. Sophie scored a career high last week, 9.875.
And I just remember from competing against BYU, they've always been really strong on floor. You see them with hard tumbling passes. They make them look like a piece of cake.
Second pass there, front full to a front layout.
And a lot of times you'll see it's more common for in college gymnastics, the girls only do 2 passes, and I don't know, I personally like when they do the 3 passes. It just shows the difficulty level, the endurance that they have. So she's definitely gonna do that 3rd pass, and such a great routine so far.
She'll get ready here for her final pass. Big double back. Great control on that landing there.
Sophie Dudley on
That was a great routine. You can tell her technique is really, really good. She just stands up those passes. You'll see right here into that first pass, really big set. She almost opened up that double pike and then lands right as she takes off up in that upright position. So just really solid technique from her.
Coming off the career high on the floor, gives her a lot of confidence as we move back to the beam for Boise State and Emily Lopez.
And Emily's just got to do what she does every time. It should be no different after getting that 10-0. Beautiful triple series right there. She dances out of it. Just looks effortless, and I promise you, that beam is only 4 inches wide. That is not easy what she's doing up there, what all these girls are accomplishing. And just as floor, I'd say beam, you make eye contact with the judges. There's a little bit of that more artistic aspect to this event. You really got to show off your dance as well as those hard trick passes. She moves so calmly through this routine. Nice toss front right there. Finishes everything all the way through her fingers. Doesn't leave anything up for discretion. Gets ready for that dismount. Gainer full off the end, or off the side of the beam. And I don't know, she does it again. There was not much to take from that routine, honestly. If the judges are being picky, I'm sure they can find something, but from my untrained eye, it's not easy to find deductions in Emily's routine. She makes it really challenging on you.
She's probably already grabbed a Specialist of the Week award on the bars. We'll see if that routine is worth it on the beam. Very solid routine from Lopez, and back onto the floor. Heidi Schooley for BYU is their 4th to go.
Floor is always an event where you can just let loose and you really see athletes' personalities shine through. Getting the crowd pumped up there. She'll set up for her first pass here. It's 1.5.
I believe that was supposed to be a layout, but she was a little high, so she made it into a tuck, which was a smart decision because if she did that layout, she may have sat it down, but she made sure to keep it on her feet. Heidi scored a 9.875 against Southern Utah last week, which is a really solid score on any event, so strong competitor.
Double back for that second pass. She did that 2-pass routine like Alex talked about earlier. A little bit of a hiccup on that first pass, but was able to finish strong.
Yeah, you'll see right here, really high in that 1.5, which you run the risk of over-rotating it just a little, so that punch is at a little bit of the wrong angle to get that layout rotation.
Back on the beam for Boise State, Emma Loyam.
Emma does another one of those triple series. A little bit more difficult. She does 2 layouts in a row and just nails it. Makes it look so easy every single time. The details, the angles, just the positioning of your body that you have to be in to make that look like she does is really challenging. So every time she does it, the consistency we see with her is impeccable. Good side aerial right there, brings her chest up. Scored a 9.85 last week on this event. Solid competitor. Yeah, I'm just impressed by Boise State's beam. It's never been their most consistent event. We've always had amazing talent on this event, but they're really putting it together this year, and it's fun to watch. Grabs that stick, holds on to it, and another amazing routine from the Broncos. You'll see right here with that dismount. Gainer full off the side. Really finishes it off with that cherry on top stick. Good for her.
Sophomore from Mountain Lakes, New Jersey, makes it look almost effortless up there for Boise State. And again, Broncos 15th in the nation on the beam, averaging a 49.160. Now, Boise State, this is their best event by far, and the Broncos certainly showing you why as BYU and the Cougars move back onto the floor. It'll be Elise Rollins to go for another fun routine.
Yeah, the Cougars are doing great on this event so far.
Little Top Gun remix tonight for Elise. She'll head into her first pass. Big double back. I believe she did step out of bounds there, which will be that 10th deduction, unfortunately. But she'll just keep smiling away and hope she'll finish strong. set up for her last pass here. Front layout to a front full. A little bit of form. As Elise finishes it off, was able to keep it on her feet. We'll see in that replay, she did step out. It will be that 10th deduction.
Rollins goes to the danger zone, and Adriana Pop goes up onto the beam.
Which could also be considered the danger zone, but for these girls, they're doing a great job. And Adriana is so fun to watch on this event. She gets on there and just gets after it. She moves a little faster, kind of like that pace that Alyssa showed us at that first routine. Has one of those really challenging triple series, hangs on to it. I cannot begin to describe how challenging that triple series she just did is. She makes it even more challenging with that 2-foot back handspring and then into that 2 feet layout. Really got good work every single week from Adriana, and being a senior, this means so much to her. I know she's a Beamer at heart, so it's bittersweet competing. You want to focus on what you got to do, but a little bit different feeling when it's your last time doing it in extra mile, and she finishes it off with a stick. Really good job from her. We'll see. Set up for that dismount. Gainer full off the side. We've been seeing a lot of the Broncos do that, and finishes it off with that stick.
Senior from Easton, Pennsylvania on senior night, concluding rotation number 3 for Boise State on the beam, a 2022 All Mountain Rim first teamer on the apparatus. And now we will conclude rotation number 3 on the floor with Rebecca Ripley for BYU.
And this routine, you might recognize it if you've seen it on YouTube. I think it's gone viral. She emulates a Barbie the whole time, so kind of fun.
BYU always does a good job of creating those viral sensation floor routines. We've seen Super Mario Bros. We've seen Napoleon Dynamite. And this year it's Barbie Girl. Connection pass there. Got the crowd going a little bit. She's just having fun out there. See her teammates doing the same moves. She'll set up for her final pass. A double pike. Great routine for Rebecca. Good tumbling passes. Great dance. Even within her facial expressions, as you see there.
Routine you won't quickly forget from Rebecca Ripley. And that concludes rotation number 3. We'll take a look at the scores from the third go-around when we come back to Extra Mile Arena here on the Bronco Digital Network. Welcome back to senior night here at Boise State and Extra Mile Arena. Leonard Berry, Alex Esmeri, and Hope Maciedo with you. And Boise State putting on another fine showing tonight on the beam, Alex.
Yeah, you just saw there snips of Emily's routine. She's on a high tonight, continuing that with her beam routine. Nothing short of perfection. And there we got Emma as well, a highlight for this team. Sticks that dismount, just consistency, I would say, is what the Broncos are bringing to this event.
Great stuff from Boise State. On the floor in the third rotation, it was BYU. Sophie Dudley with a 9.825 for the Cougars.
Yeah, and the Cougars just had really good tumbling passes and landings, as you see there. She danced out of it, good control, and they just got into their floor routines, and they always do. BYU always does a good job of performing wherever they go and getting the crowd going, and yeah, just a good job for the Cougars on floor.
So we've finished 3 rotations. The final rotation of the night is coming up when we come back. Boise State on the floor, BYU on the beam on the Bronco Digital Network. Here at Extra Mile Arena as Boise State and BYU compete on senior night for the Broncos, and they are jazzed up in Extra Mile Arena, and for good reason. Boise State has a huge advantage going into the 4th rotation. We've seen the first ever 10 in program history on the bars for Boise State, with Emily Lopez's perfect 10 to close out rotation number 2 for Boise State. And now the Broncos, who are looking to get a 197 for the first time this season, have the potential, if they can have a solid floor routine, to close out the night.
Yeah, never want to jinx it, but it's looking that way, and that would be huge for them. I mean, they've really earned it tonight. Sometimes you can think about scores being inflated because your home team, it's your senior night. But I would really say the scores have been pretty fair across the board. So they get that 197. They definitely deserve it. And what a great night to have the possibility going into that 4th rotation to get that score.
And heading into floor, the last event, always a fun one to end on, in my opinion. Getting everyone, the crowd pumping, your teammates going, and just excited to see them build on this event this season, and especially tonight.
And for BYU, trying to close out their evening here on the beam, Alex Mason will be the one to kick things off for the Cougars.
Yeah, and Alex just wants to set the tone for this beam rotation. It's their last rotation of the night, so you always want that leadoff spot to be a consistent one. Nice layout step out right there, good acro series. Little cat leap into that side aerial, covers up that wobble with a little bit of dance. Moving nicely through this routine. Nice long line, switch leap, split jump. A little wobble in that dance. You can never take your focus for 1 second off the beam because, again, it is only 4 inches wide. You're 4 feet off the ground, so gotta really keep those blinders on, even though these gymnasts look like they're doing on the floor. Heads into that dismount, that double twist. I was gonna say that classic 1.5, but she makes it a little bit harder to stick. So good for her, good for Alex for starting off the Cougars with that good routine. You'll see that dismount one more time, takes a little bit more power, gets that double full around, sticks the landing. Nice work.
Good start to the last rotation for the senior from Saratoga Springs, and we move over to the floor. Alyssa Boulage for Boise State will go.
Alyssa is familiar with that starting spot. Big connection for her first pass. That 1.5 to front full.
Such a fun routine. I really like watching Alyssa on this event. It feels comfortable out there. Sometimes the dancing's a little forced, and she's got the groove.
Good leap pass there. Alyssa will do that 2-pass routine that we talked about earlier.
And to do that 2-pass routine, you have to have a little bit harder passes, so the requirements need to be met. So this will be that big double flipping pass for her, round up back handspring, double pike, huge double pike.
Good control on the landing. She did have that step forward. But great routine for Alyssa. You can see she's fired up. High fives from her teammates. We'll see that replay. Good form. Just that little step, which week 6, she can definitely go back into the gym and perfect that.
Sophomore for Boise State continues to improve. Switch our focus back over to the beam where Madison Raisley-Patton is getting set.
And Madison mounts the beam. Sets up for that first acro front aerial into a split jump. Really nicely done. She really grounds herself on the beam, which is important because the lower your center of gravity is, just makes skills easier. That's why gymnasts are notoriously short. It's easier to flip around if you're smaller and shorter to the ground. So on beam, you really got to find that absorption and make sure you're staying low. She scored a 9.85 last week, so really solid competitor on this event. Good solid flick lay. She did have a little bit of form in that back knee, just went a little bit loose. Nice routine so far, gets into that full turn. And I'll tell you, that full turn, it was definitely my nemesis in college. It seems like the simplest thing these girls do, and it should be, but it'll get you sometimes. It's the simple things sometimes that are harder to make clean, but finishes out really nice with a stuck landing, and I believe that was a dab right there, if I'm not mistaken. So a little bit of personality along with it. Round off 1.5, solid, and dab, of course, to finish it off. Great work there by Madison.
We've seen freshmen have solid routines all night long for BYU. There's another one from the freshman from Lanata, Texas, and Boise State on the floor looking to follow up the solid boulage.
Big double pike there. Great lead pass. Brantley has an upbeat floor routine, as you can see, and maybe here at home. She'll prep here for that second pass. Big combination, 1.5 to that front layout.
Sometimes the gymnasts slow down their dance before their third last pass. Just take that little breather. They make these routines look easy, but I can tell you they are like sprinting full out for 1.5 minutes, and having to give all your energy to this last pass takes a lot of endurance.
Big double back, but missed that hand. And unfortunately under-rotated. We'll see her on the replay, her combination pass.
That was Brantley Lucas on the floor for Boise State, and switching our focus to Mina Margraf on the beam for BYU.
Yeah, just wanting to build off these really good routines the Cougars are putting up right now. Mina scored a 9.8 last week against Southern Utah. Looks like she's a beam specialist. Nice combination right there. Different, unique pass right there. Hard to connect front to back skills. You have to continuously keep your arms moving the whole time for it to count as a connection. Looks like she did the connection really nicely. Had a slight wobble on the landing of that back tuck. Switch half into that beat jump. Another challenging leap pass right there. You can tell why she's a specialist. Really good at this event. That full turn. Nicely done. and heads into her dismount. Front full, nice work, unique dismount as well. So unique routine overall, fun to watch, always fun to see different skills being thrown in there rather than the same stuff that a lot of people do. So nice work by Mina. Another solid routine for BYU.
BYU for 3 weeks in a row has had the Mountain Rim Specialist of the Week on the apparatus. It was Margraf 2 weeks ago, and another great routine from her as we go to Emma Loim.
And Emma has really been a key contributor to this Bronco lineup this year. Has scored a 9.925 and has been a Mountain Rim Specialist of the Week on this event. You could see that she did that big combination pass.
Yeah, she did that whip back into her, a big double back, and it makes it so much harder when you don't put your hands down. You have to punch it a little bit more of an aggressive angle to get the same height and be able to land on your feet. So she did an amazing job, really challenging pass right there. Every gymnast has a different style. They kind of get a help in the process of picking out their routine, and then Patty Resnick is the amazing choreographer for the Broncos and really plays up to every style of what the girls want to do and then also their strength.
And we mentioned her teammates doing her floor routine, but you can always look over and see Patty doing the floor routines as well.
A little bit of a bounce back in that double pike. Kind of looked like she scooped her feet under her too far. You'll see that first pass, really nice job. Whip back, double tuck. It's a really hard pass to do.
And with Loim concluding on the floor, we jump back over to Beam. And for BYU, they will have Sophie Dudley.
Sophie's had some really good scores this season. Last one being a 9.875. That was a nice series she did right there. Kind of danced right out of it. Nice leap pass. Just looks calm up there. That's what you want to see on beam. You never want to change anything, and the gymnasts want to practice like they compete, because when you get nervous, your habits definitely come out. So you want all your habits to be good ones to improve the entirety of your routine. Looks like she's doing an awesome job right here. Got that side aerial in, sets up for that dismount, kind of walks into it, round off 1.5. Little side shuffle right there, but stayed on, solid routine, nice and clean throughout.
Another look at the dismount for Dudley. And for Boise State, on the floor, Elena McGovern.
One of my personal favorite routines in the Bronco lineup. This is a new routine for Elena this year, but she just loves to show it off. Big combination there, front Rudy to a layout step out. Great leap pass, dances right out of it.
She is from Kentucky, so showing a little bit of that Kentucky country.
Set up here for that final pass. Double tuck. Pulls
Nicely
it out.
done. Getting the Broncos back on track with that routine for sure. She should be excited about that.
We'll see that replay here. Big double back. Maybe slightly a larger step than the judges would like, but she was able to control it, and overall it was a great routine for Elena.
So the sophomore from Richmond, Kentucky, getting Boise State back on track on the floor and back on the beam. BYU getting set up. It'll be Elise Rollins, the senior from West Jordan, Utah.
We saw Elise on the floor and vault. Oh yeah, we saw her on the vault. Second guess myself there for a second. And last week, she scored a 9.95 on this event. So clearly capable of those big scores. Nice leaps right there, really going over and beyond for that 180 split. Looks really calm up there. Front aerial straight into that back handspring layout, step out. And like we saw Nina do that front to back series, similar thing here. This one a little bit more difficult because she does that back handspring and then the layout step out, but she really connected it well. Kind of fun little full turn right there. I used to do a fun full turn and decided to take it out after I fell on the beam in a competition. So kudos to her for being able to do that when she doesn't necessarily need to. And gets off the beam. Nice, short and sweet. You can tell why she got that score last week. Really awesome routine from Elise right there. Yeah, good dismount right there. Really sticks the landing. Nice long lines. Awesome work.
Been improving steadily on the beam. Started the year 9.9, 9.25, 9.95, like you mentioned last week. And another really fantastic performance as Courtney Blackson goes on the floor for the Broncos. She is coming off a 9.9 a week ago.
And Courtney is one of those dynamic gymnasts like we talked about earlier. There's a big connection pass there.
Pretty risky to do, but just because it's such a long pass, you see how close she gets to the edge of the floor, but clearly the coaches trust her and she's confident enough that she can just stick it with 2 feet, no problem.
Courtney does a lot of twisting elements in her routine. You might have seen earlier a lot of double flipping elements.
Courtney comes from a gym in California that we've had a couple gymnasts from Boise State on, Shani Remy and Rachel Obman, and both amazing gymnasts to this program, but you can tell they're trained really, really well. All super powerful gymnasts, especially on floor.
Big 2.5 there.
Not a move you see a lot done in college gymnastics, taking that extra risk for difficulty and pays off for sure.
She just made it look effortless. Great routine for Courtney, but we expect nothing less. She just comes time and time again.
You'll see one more time, huge 2.5. It's so hard to spot your landing because you're twisting so fast. So amazing job from Courtney once again.
Junior from Elk Grove nails it on the floor for the Broncos, and the last beam performer for BYU, Heidi Schooley, up right now.
Heidi sets up for her series. Back handspring layout step out, really solid. As I said before, you have to ground yourself on beam. You really got to make sure your heels come down and you put pressure into all parts of your foot, because if you stay on your toes, you're going to have a hard time not wobbling or keeping that center of gravity nice and stable. Holds on to that side aerial. Nice split jump. Nice jump combination right there. Little step on that landing, but fired up for that routine. Great rotation for the Cougars. They definitely brought it all back together to end on a really awesome job. You see one more time right here. Heidi goes into that dismount. Just a little scoop back with her right foot, but other than that, good solid routine.
After a 9.925 from Courtney Blacks and Sydney Leach.
Starts off with a double pike. A little bit over rotated on that landing.
And they're hoping to be able to drop that score, that second score, and add on this one. So you remember 5 scores count, 1 gets dropped, so she can keep it on her feet. Most likely this routine will count.
Front layout, front full. Sydney has appeared in this floor lineup a couple times for the Broncos this season. In that 6th spot. She'll set up here for her last pass. Another double back. Great landing. And a great routine to end on for the Broncos. She was able to pull it out, finish strong. See that middle pass there. Really good form. Just dances right out of it. Awesome to see in that floor lineup.
And an outstanding night of gymnastics concludes at Extra Mile Arena, but we got more to come. We'll check the scores, see if there's any adjustments, and come back to you on the Bronco Digital Network. Back at Extra Mile Arena, senior night wrapping up as competition has concluded, but now the festivities can finally begin. Leonard Berry, Alexis Marion, and Hope Maciedo with you. And Alex and Hope, both of you have been through senior night here at Extra Mile Arena. When the competition ends and all the adrenaline wears off, what does it feel like to be recognized, to be honored for your contributions?
It's really amazing. I mean, such amazing career for every single senior that goes through this program. Making it to senior year is such a big deal, and I mean, mine was a blur. I do remember at the end, I remember my last pass in my floor routine was a little emotional. You know, you try to keep it together because you're like, I have to physically do something right here, but it just means so much. I mean, there's a great crowd here tonight. All these girls should be so proud of each other. It's just a community that they're building, and yeah, just a special moment for all of them.
And they started this sport at such a young age, and to be able to compete at this level and be a part of this team is something truly very special. And I'm sure these girls don't even feel like it's senior night yet, but it's such a bittersweet time, and to be able to celebrate these girls and everything they've achieved and yet to achieve this season is such a special time. And
barring any changes for Boise State here on senior night, it's going to be their highest team score of the year, currently at 196.5. So for Boise State, the improvement continues. We talked about the fact that they're a young team, and to see them grow over the last 3 weeks, 3 straight weeks of over a 196. That is great stuff for Boise State as they continue to rise that average score on the year.
And they're just going to keep continuing to do that, right? You get into this mode in competition, the weeks become shorter. It's such a routine they go through, and especially going on the road, and then in later weeks traveling to some of these further places, definitely going to have to keep this momentum going if they want to compete with the big dogs, and I think they're totally capable of it.
Right, they definitely are capable, and like we saw tonight, they just keep building. We got a perfect score on bars and just need to clean up some things, go back to the gym, maybe some technical errors, work on those sticks, maybe a toe point, but overall, great performance for the Broncos.
And we will toss it now to our PA announcer, Jeremy Peterson, for the senior night festivities.
Anissa Alvarado. Rebecca Ripley. Elise Rollins. Lindsay Hunter. And Sarah Perrin. The Boise State Gymnastics family congratulates these BYU seniors for all you have done for BYU Gymnastics. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2023 BYU seniors. And now we recognize your 2023 Broncos seniors. Our first senior we recognize, Erin Elkabachi. Erin came to Boise State from Marietta, California, and has been a staple for the Broncos on beam. She has appeared in 25 meets entering this evening, competing on beam in each of the 25 and on floor in 12. A 2021 NCAA Regional Championship participant, Erin is a three-time WCGA Scholastic All-American and Academic All-MRGC honoree. After graduating with her degree in elementary education in the fall, she plans to begin her career as a teacher. Ladies and gentlemen, Erin Elkabachi. Our next senior, Talia Little. Talia joined the Broncos from Rochester, New York in 2021 and has appeared in 23 meets for Boise State entering this evening. She recorded a career-high 9.9 on bars at the NCAA Regional Championship in 2021, finishing tied for second in the opening session of the second round. A two-time NCAA Regional Championship participant, Talia is a two-time WCGA Scholastic All-American and Academic All-MRGC recipient. After graduating with her degree in biology, Talia will continue teaching acrobatics classes and start working on her second novel while exploring places to live. Ladies and gentlemen, Talia Little. Our next senior, Erin Morden. Erin came to Boise State from La Quinta, California, and has made appearances on both bars and floor during her Bronco career. She is a three-time WCGA Scholastic All-American and Academic All-MRGC honoree, and was one of 11 student athletes nationally to be awarded a $10,000 tuition grant as part of the 2022 Dr. Pepper Go Teach Tuition giveaway. Erin will graduate with her degree in elementary education in the fall and looks forward to starting her teaching career. Ladies and gentlemen, Erin Morden. Our next senior we recognize, Adriana Pop. Adriana has been an integral part of Boise State's lineup since arriving on campus from Easton, Pennsylvania in 2020. She has appeared in each of the Broncos' 35 meets since her freshman season, competing on vault, beam, and floor. Adriana was also named the 2022 All-MRGC First Team on beam and 2021 All-MRGC Second Team on floor. She was the 2021 MRGC Champion on beam and a two-time NCAA Regional Championship participant and three-time WCGA Scholastic All-American and Academic All-MRGC honoree. Adriana has enjoyed interning with the Bronco Athletic Association since the summer of 2022 and will graduate with a degree in business administration. Ladies and gentlemen, Adriana Pop. And our next senior, Kaylee Tran. Kaylee transferred to Boise State from Seattle Pacific before the start of the 2020 season. She is a two-time WCGA Scholastic All-American and Academic All-MRGC honoree. A native of Rancho Santa Margarita, California, Kaylee will graduate with a degree in graphic design and is interested in pursuing a creative role within a marketing department. Ladies and gentlemen, Kaylee Tran. Ladies and gentlemen, these are your 2023 Boise State Gymnast Seniors. And on behalf of the entire Boise State Gymnastics family, we thank you all for everything you've done for Bronco Gymnastics, and we wish you all the best of luck in all your future endeavors. And now, fans, it's time to introduce tonight's results. We begin first with our individual results on vault. In third place with a score of 9.875 from Boise State, Adriana Pop. And our winners this evening with a score of 9.9 from Boise State, Courtney Blackson, and from Boise State, Emily Lopez. Here are your scores on bars. In a tie for third place with a score of 9.825 from BYU, Anissa Alvarado, and from BYU, Kylie Iquinto. In second place with a score of 9.875 from Boise State, Courtney Blackson. Your winner this evening, 10, Emily Lopez. Here are your results on beam. In a tie for second place with a score of 9.875 from Boise State, Emma Loyam, and from Boise State, Emily Lopez. And your winner this evening on beam with a score of 9.925 from BYU, Elise Rollins. Here are your results on floor. In a tie for second place with a score of 9.85 from BYU, Sydney Benson, from Boise State, Elena McGovern, and from Boise State, Alyssa Village. And our winner this evening on floor with a score of 9.925 from Boise State, Courtney Blackson. And fans, your final team scores this evening with a cumulative score of 194.925, the Cougars from BYU. And with a score of 196.5, your Boise State Broncos.
A very eventful senior night in Boise, and we'd be remiss if we buried the lead. The story of the night on the bars, Emily Lopez with the first 10 in program history on that apparatus. And Alex and Hope, we watched that routine and we thought it's what she does every single week, but Alex, in reality, it was perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. It was perfection, and I would be lying if I haven't seen her do that multiple times, but I'm really, really glad the judges finally rewarded her for it. I mean, I don't know if it was the atmosphere, the build-up, the senior night, but whatever it was, she 100% deserved it, and I'm just so, so happy for her that it happened tonight.
And for Boise State, they've got a quick turnaround. They will have a meet on Wednesday in Cedar City against Southern Utah, and then they have Minnesota and Alabama, two teams inside the top 20 in the country. So Hope, when you look at this young team going on the road after what they've accomplished tonight in their final home meet, you have to be ecstatic for where they're building to.
Yeah, it's definitely amazing, and like you mentioned, Letter, quick turnaround for them. So going back into the gym next week, quick little tweaks, and then they'll go right into Southern Utah, which is where they'll end up for the Mountain Rim Conference Championship. later this season. So definitely good exposure for them to be there, and just so proud of this team and how they've been fighting this season, and excited to see where they'll go.
An absolutely fantastic night here in Boise, and we appreciate you sticking with us through the end. Senior night in Boise comes to a close, as does the home gymnastics season here in 2023. It's been a pleasure to bring it to you all. For Alex Asmari and Hope Maciedo and the rest of our crew at Boise State University, I'm Leonard Berry saying so long from the City of Trees on the Bronco Digital Network.